Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today I'm back for some more competitive VGC Regulation F battles in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. In this video, I'm going to be featuring a team that won an online ladder tournament featuring Whimsicott and Terrakion, one of the most oppressive duos in the format right now. The idea is that Whimsicott uses Beat Up to activate Justified on Terrakion multiple times, giving Terrakion many attack boosts and allowing you to very quickly sweep through teams. This was a duo that was first introduced to VGC way back in Black and White in 2011, and it is really strong right now, especially because in Scarlet and Violet, you have things like Tera, as well as Covert Cloak, which are really useful tools for this duo. This team also has a lot of fun offense from things like Choice Specs Gholdengo, Choice Band Dragonite, as well as Assault Vest Milotic. As always, I'll do a quick breakdown of the team, but if you want to just skip to the battles, check out the timestamps down in the description below, and thanks so much as always for joining me. If you enjoy, would really appreciate it if you consider leaving a like in the video or subscribing to the channel, really helps out a ton. Let's dive into things. Breaking things down, as always, rental, pace, and team creator are linked down in the description below, and question of the day, I want to know what your early predictions for the Regulation F format are down in the comment section below. Now, I was drawn to this team because, like I mentioned, it won a big online Wi-Fi ladder tournament, and it also has Whimsicott and Terrakion. I really mean it when I say that this is one of the strongest duos in the format right now, and fun VGC history for you all. This duo was first introduced to competitive play in 2011 when both of these Pokemon were introduced in Black and White. In VGC 2011, Whimsicott plus Terrakion was, in my eyes, one of the top duos, if not the #1 duo that you had to prepare for when you were team building. Because if you didn't have an answer into it, this thing would just walk over you so easily. The general idea is that you, of course, use Whimsicott and use Beat Up to quickly activate Justified on Terrakion. Now, for those that don't know how Beat Up works, it essentially hits multiple times, and the number of hits is based on how many healthy allies you have. A healthy ally is a Pokemon that has not fainted or is not affected by a status condition. So if you lead Whimsicott and Terrakion, you're generally going to have 4 hits of Beat Up, unless something gets paralyzed, for example, or status conditioned. But for that reason, you generally want to use Whimsicott and Terrakion earlier on in the battle, because if you bring it out in the late game and multiple Pokemon have fainted, Beat Up just hits for fewer amounts of times. And of course, Terrakion's ability Justified gives you an attack boost every time you're hit by a Dark type move, and it does stack with Beat Up, and so the idea is 4 hits of Beat Up give you +4 attack immediately. Terrakion is a really strong attacker. Base 129 attack, 108 speed. This gives you a really good advantage speed-wise into most of the format. And so the general idea is that with Whimsicott Terrakion, you lead this and you can just go straight for Beat Up into Rock Slide or Close Combat. You also have Tailwind on Whimsicott, so you could protect Terrakion, Tailwind with Whimsicott turn 1 if you're up against an opposing Tailwind team. This allows you to scout out for Teras as well, and then go for Beat Up on turn 2, for example. And you'll always notice that the Whimsicott here is Ghost Tera and Terrakion is Covert Cloak. What this means is if you're up against a Fake Out user like Incineroar or Rillaboom, you can Ghost Tera, Beat Up into Rock Slide, and they just can't stop this combination on turn 1. And that is really scary. This is not something that existed back during Gen 5, and so I think the combination of Covert Cloak plus Ghost Tera existing makes it even scarier to go up against. Couple things to call out here as well. The Whimsicott has Misty Terrain as the final move. Tailwind and Moonblast are fairly standard. Misty Terrain is a really cool tech. It helps out against terrain from things like Indeedee as well as Rillaboom, right? This helps a lot against Psy Spam, for example, where it just means that Expanding Force can only hit 1 Pokemon rather than 2. And it also reduces the damage of Dragon type attacks, which is really nice, right? So a lot of different use cases for Misty Terrain. Also obviously helps out against status conditions. That is really important. And so it blocks the Mungus' Spore, for example, which I think is really otherwise annoying to deal with. Terrakion also has Upper Hand, which is one of the brand new moves introduced via the DLC. This move is like a combination of Fake Out and Sucker Punch, but it only works if your opponent is going for a priority move that turn. So it's not that easy to use. I think it's still a move that I'm getting used to using personally, but it has some really interesting use cases when you're up against other Pokemon that have priority. Before moving on, I wanted to just insert one quick edit about Upper Hand. This only works against damaging priority moves, so it fails against things like Tornadus Tailwind or Whimsicott Tailwind. It's +3 priority, so it's in the same priority bracket as Fake Out, and so what you can use it for is denying slower Fake Out users, and most Fake Out users are slower, so Fake Out from things like Incineroar, Rillaboom, and Iron Hands. It also, of course, works against other damaging moves, so things like Extreme Speed from Dragonite, Sucker Punch from Chien-Pao or King Gambit, as well as Thunderclap from Raging Bolt. So you have to think about it in terms of damaging moves, not non-damaging moves, but just wanted to make sure I clarified that. Whimsicott Terrakion, easily one of the go-to leads with this team, and I'm eager to feature just how powerful it is. For the rest of the team, I first want to talk about this Milotic, which is a pretty unique Assault Vest set with Alluring Voice. This is a really strong fairy move, single target, 100% chance to confuse a target that had a stat rise this turn, Scald, Mirror Coat, and Ice Beam. Mirror Coat plus Assault Vest is, I think, what makes this set so fascinating, and I think this is a beautiful way to use Milotic currently, because there are so many special attackers in the format. With this combination, it's very easy to soak up some damage and then just get a knockout in return with Mirror Coat. Competitive is also an amazing ability because so many people are using things like Incineroar and Landorus right now, and there are a lot of other ways for competitive to activate randomly as well, whether it be something like an Icy Wind speed drop or a Bleak Windstorm speed drop from Tornadus, for example. Generally, though, Milotic matches up really nicely into a lot of the special attackers, and Poison Tera is just awesome to help out against things like Rillaboom, which otherwise, of course, then threaten Milotic for large amounts of damage. You also have two classic choice users in Choice Band Dragonite and the Choice Specs Gholdengo. These are two of the strongest choice users that you can have, and lots of people use these throughout all of Scarlet and Violet VGC. Nothing too crazy to say about them, just know that you do have a little bit of speed investment here on Dragonite, and Gholdengo is fairly speedy as well, but you've got good bulk invested in both. Dragonite here has Outrage, and so Outrage is a move that can very easily clean up games often, and Gholdengo here has good coverage. You obviously have Make It Rain and Shadow Ball, but Thunderbolt and Dazzling Gleam to give you some other coverage as well. The final Pokemon is Incineroar. This is the Pokemon that I definitely bring out the least when using this team, but Incin still is valuable because you can lead something like Incin Dragonite and just go for Fake Out into Extreme Speed and just try to quickly crush through teams, or Incin Gholdengo. I think these are two really strong leads in particular. The main thing to note about Incineroar here is that it has Helping Hand. So one way you could also play with the team is Whimsicott Terrakion early on. You get the beat up off, protect Terrakion, set up Tailwind, Whimsicott faints, bring in Incineroar, then you have Fake Out plus Rock Slide and Helping Hand plus Rock Slide, which is really powerful. In terms of ways to play with the team, I generally first ask myself, why is there a reason to not lead Whimsicott? Because most of the games I'm thinking about leading Whimsicott first, and you can pair it with anything, but I think Whimsicott plus Terrakion and Whimsicott and Gholdengo are probably two of the strongest leads that you can have, and with this duo, you're going to want to think about pairing these two so frequently, but you could, of course, split it up, lead Whimsicott, have Terrakion in the back, and then switch in Terrakion on turn 1 when your opponent's not expecting it to get the surprise beat up off, and then go from there. I've also had games, though, where I don't necessarily love leading these two because maybe my opponent has a lot of counters to Terrakion, whether it be things that resist Rock Slide or Close Combat or are immune to them. So you can go with combinations like Incin Dragonite, Incin Gholdengo. Dragonite Gholdengo is a really strong, fast-paced duo that does a lot of damage immediately. And then I think Milotic is really worth considering leading if your opponent has a lot of ways to potentially activate competitive. Even if you just see Incineroar in Team Preview, that should make you think a little bit harder, like, do I want to lead Milotic? Because a lot of times people like leading Incineroar with Fake Out to deal with this combination, not knowing about the Covert Cloak or the Ghost Tera on Whimsicott. But generally, the first thing I ask myself is there anything that really counters Whimsicott and Terrakion? Because if the answer is no, I'm just going to lead this right away. And then if the answer is yes, I first then think about, okay, do I even want to bring Whimsicott as a lead? Does it make sense to bring it into the battle at all? It's kind of rare to not bring Whimsicott with this team, I'd say, because it synergizes so nicely with Terrakion. But there are some games where maybe you're like, okay, I'm not really going to be able to get beat up off, but Terrakion's Close Combat and Rock Slide still do a lot of damage, so I want to bring those. But yeah, generally, this team is just designed to hit as hard as possible, and Terrakion's the main star of it, but Dragonite and Gholdengo do massive amounts of damage. Milo's amazing into a lot of special attackers, and Incineroar is just good utility, like Incineroar on any team practically. So yeah, that's it for a quick breakdown. Now let's highlight some weaknesses. In terms of weaknesses, I want to highlight some weaknesses of Whimsicott and Terrakion first. Now, if you're able to redirect beat up away from Terrakion, that's obviously a huge deal. So follow me from something like Indeedee or Ogerpon can be especially valuable because you just don't have the threat of beat up plus the justified anymore. Terrakion here in particular is going to be weak to ground and psychic type Pokemon and moves because it's a Poison Tera here, so it's weak to those types both before and after Tera, so that's one other thing to watch out for. I think Terrakion also doesn't love going up against Wide Guard because then you just can't click Rock Slide at all, so that's something to be careful about. And another thing to be wary of are Pokemon that can just survive +4 Rock Slides, right? So I think the thing about using Terrakion is you normally just want to get knockouts and then make sure that whatever is remaining on the field can't knock you out in return. But if you have two Pokemon on the field that threaten Terrakion and Terrakion can only knock out one of them, then trying to find a trade where you lose one Pokemon but you knock out Terrakion in return is also, I think, really good. So, you know, there are a lot of like hybrid, dual type, steel types that can survive these Rock Slides fairly easily and resist them and then threaten back with damage as well. And of course, Close Combat is a way to potentially deal with them. But if you have two Pokemon on the field and Terrakion can only knock out one, that's a really big deal as well. So those are just some counters that you can think about when trying to beat this combination in particular. As for the rest of the team, I think, for example, Dragonite doesn't love going up against things like in block priority, whether it be for a Graph or Indeedee. Trick Room for this team can be a little bit spooky to go up against because it's generally pretty fast paced. And one other thing to call out is that you don't have Protect on any Pokemon other than Terrakion. And so if you're playing against this team, that's not what you can use to your advantage as well. The last thing that I'll call out is that Whimsicott and Terrakion here, if you know that it's Ghost Tera and Covert Cloak and you see this specific team, you can use that to your advantage, right? Because then you're not going to get caught off guard like leading fake out users and trying to stop this duel with fake out. And just having that information in itself can be a huge advantage because the element of surprise does help this a lot. That being said, I do think the duo is really strong where even if your opponent knows that, it's just really foolproof as a way to kind of guarantee the beat up strategy in most cases. And so it's not like it's just going to win you games, but having that little bit of information edge can give you an advantage. So yeah, those are some things to call out. Okay, we've got pretty interesting stuff here. Regidrago, Metagross, Tornadus, Incineroar, Serena, and Grimmsnarl. It's interesting because like Tornadus Regidrago was a duo that had a lot of success throughout the last format, starting kind of leading into the World Championships, but then it didn't do as well at Worlds as I expected, and then a lot of people kind of picked it back up towards the end of the format. I think my main fear is not knowing the Drago set. Milo's really interesting here because it's got Mirror Coat. And if they bring in Incineroar, we get to take advantage of it. I think Terrakion's also really interesting here because of Upper Hand. I definitely don't need to bring in Incineroar here. And priority is blocked thanks to Serena. So I'm thinking Whimsicott, Terrakion, Milotic, Gholdengo. Alright, let's try this out. Upper Hand, I think, is a really interesting move. And as one of the new moves, it takes a little bit of time to get used to, right? Pokemon is a pretty complex game with a lot of deep mechanics. So getting used to a new move like this can take a little bit of time. They're going to go with Tornadus and Regidrago. The main question here is, are you Choice Scarf on this? Misty Terrain is a pretty cool move. I could just Moonblast here. I could trade Tailwinds. I could Upper Hand this. I feel like Drago probably Terras here. I'm personally okay just going for a Tailwind and Protect on turn 1. I want to bait out a Protect or a Terra from their end, but no Terra comes out. Cool. We get the Protect out, so we confirm you're not Choice Scarf. That's huge in itself. They might be clicking like Icy Wind here. No, they try to taunt us. Okay, huge. That's great. I don't mind that. Alright, time to beat up. Beat up, beat up, beat up. So beat up Rockslide is the obvious play, but I think Metagross switching in here makes sense. I'm down to just beat up and then close combat into the Regidrago. And this covers for Steel Terra Drago as well. Like, yeah, Tornadus can Bleak Wind, but that's not too much of an issue right now. My dream would be their Tornadus Tailwinds, Regidrago goes for Steel Terra, and then we just eliminate the Drago. That should put us in a really good spot. Or Drago switches out into Metagross, and we just beat up close combat KO Metagross. I think just beat up Rockslide is too obvious here, and Drago not being Choice Scarf means I think Steel Terra is more likely, and they have Metagross as a switch in. There's the Terra. Show me Steel Terra on Regidrago. Yeah? Nice. Cool. That should give us a huge advantage then. Awesome. Tornadus critically not going for a Tailwind here, though. So they're probably just Bleak Windstorming, which is fine. It's going to do decent damage into Terrakion, but won't get the knockout. The key thing here is Terrakion's a big part of this team, but it's not the only member, right? We, by going for this, already get a knockout onto their Terra option, which is a huge deal. Sweet. And now it means they're not going to have very many defensive options against us in this endgame. So Drago faints. Milotic as a lead honestly would have worked out really nicely here as well. Ah, they're actually Air Slash instead of Bleak Wind. So Air Slash was a move that started picking up more on Tornadus, especially at the end of the previous regulation, for a couple of reasons. One, Bramble Gas started being used by a couple of top players, and Bleak Wind Storm just was really bad into Bramble Gas. Air Slash would offer a little bit more consistency because it's higher accuracy and single target as well. And you can flinch. Okay, so they bring out Serena. This could be Scarfed. I think here I'm happy just going for beat up onto Terrakion, Terra defensively, and then Rock Slide. I do want to cover for Scarf Serena because that's something I've run against before. But by going for Terra here, it covers for both your grass and your fighting type attacks. My other question is whether or not Tornadus is Focus Sashed. Nice. They don't protect either Pokemon. Okay. I mean, we hit the Rock Slides. This is +6 Rock Slide into both Pokemon, so I would assume it's a double knockout, but let's see. The downside here is it's only an 81% chance to connect on both, since Rock Slide's accuracy is 90%. A couple extra hits on Terrakion here, but we're already at +6. Beautiful. Rock Slide does double connect, and it's actually Serena that's Focus Sashed. Oh, I would not have expected that. Okay. That's fine, though. The Terra here, I think, probably saves us from getting knocked out. Let's see what they opted for. Power Whip, High Jump Kick. Oh, it's going to be a flinch. Yeah, I mean, that's the other strength of Tailwind plus Rock Slide. Terrakion is their last one. Sorry, not Terrakion. Metagross is. Metagross's model in this game is so funny because it just floats. Like, it's so funny to look at. Last turn of Tailwind here, so I am happy to now just go for beat up to knock out the Serena, and then +6 close combat into Metagross. No Terra available on their end. You could Bullet Punch, I suppose, onto Whimsicott, but then close combat just knocks out Metagross. Okay, it's going to be Protect from Serena. Does Metagross Protect? Nope, just Bullet Punch. Okay, that's fine. I will gladly allow Terrakion to pick up every knockout. I mean, Terrakion's literally dealt 3 knockouts and 99% of my opponent's health on the final Pokemon, right? Got a one-hit knockout onto Regidrago, got a one-hit knockout onto Tornadus, got a one-hit knockout onto Metagross. This thing is so powerful if you're able to boost it up properly. Cool. And now we can just bring out Milotic. Okay. I mean, Serena's never really going to be able to pull off a 1v2 here. I haven't seen the animation for Alluring Voice, so I'll go for that. And then close combat. Yeah, and they end up forfeiting. So this is exactly what Whimsicott and Terrakion can do. Super oppressive duo. And it's nice to go into an opposing Tailwind team, right? Like, part of the reason why you might want to consider using Whimsicott is because it is a faster Tailwind user than Tornadus. And so having higher priority, or not higher priority, but, you know, within the same priority bracket, but a higher speed means we can move first. And that means that we can get that Tailwind up before Tornadus is able to taunt us. I cannot stress how big of a deal that is, right? Because imagine if we were running Tornadus and it's, you know, Tornadus versus Tornadus is awkward because of all the speed wars. But with Whimsicott, I can just consistently click Tailwind with no fear, guaranteeing that I'll get it up on turn 1. The main thing, like I said, that I wanted to scout out for was Choice Scarf Regidrago, because that is something that you can use. It's not very common. Like, most Dragos are going to be that Steel Terra set, but I don't want to just auto lose to a Dragon Terra Drago on turn 1 of the game, which is why I, you know, played a little bit more passively. But the taunt worked out perfectly. We got the read into the Drago, expecting it to either Steel Terra switch into Metagross. My opponent didn't have Tera to play with afterwards, and then Terrakion was able to just clean up. Especially because Tornadus didn't click Tailwind, which I think if they had clicked Tailwind, maybe they would have given themselves a better shot because they would have at least staggered it. But I think late game Gholdengo plus the Milotic were going to be pretty difficult for my opponent to deal with. Alright, we've got Kommo-o, Sinistcha, Incineroar, Fluttermane, Ogerpon, and the Ursaluna. Cool stuff. 3 potential setup Pokemon here. Clanging Scales, Clanger, Soul Kommo, or Iron Defense Body Press. Potential Swords Dance Ogerpon, potential Swords Dance Ursaluna. Kommo-o and the Ursaluna are going to resist Rock Slide here, which isn't great. Huh. Ogerpon Kommo is definitely one lead to respect. Ah, wow. Without knowing which one of the 2 Kommo sets it is, it's actually really challenging. I want to lead Milotic just in case they lead Incineroar. If I were them, I would probably go like Ogerpon Kommo-o. I'm thinking Whimsicott Gholdengo here. Terrakion in the back. And Milo. I don't know how I feel about this, honestly, though. Like, it maybe should have been Dragonite to have a better Ogerpon matchup, because I don't love my Ogerpon matchup with the 4 that I selected. So, we'll see. If Incin gets led here, I'll be so sad. There's a poor Milotic in the back, just screaming. No! Oh, feels so bad. I should have just done it. I should have just done it. I just really didn't think they'd actually lead Incineroar. They should steal Tera. Okay, I have a kind of crazy play, but hear me out. I'm going to Ghost Tera because I think they're going to fake out into this. So I'm going to... I guess they might just Flare Blitz into this, or Flare Blitz into this. But either way, Ghost Tera, beat up onto Gholdengo. Switch into Terrakion. Okay, hey, this works. So far, so good. Nice. I think, regardless of what Incineroar does, this is already a good start, because you're either clicking Fake Out onto Whimsicott or Flare Blitz / Knockoff into the Terrakion slot, or Parting Shot, but it means I get beat up off guaranteed, and this is why I wanted to go for Ghost Tera. See, the thing is, when you lead Whimsicott Terrakion, your opponent probably has some sense of what's coming, right? But like, when I have Terrakion in the back, it is so hard to cover for Gholdengo going for offense, Whimsicott tailwinding, and me just switching in Terrakion randomly like this. They critically did not go for the Fake Out, which was nice. I wonder if it's Parting Shot. I mean, like I said, I would expect Flare Blitz, maybe Knockoff. Knockoff into Terrakion would be hilarious, because then it would get me another Justified boost. And I don't really need Covert Cloak at this point. But I forced out Kommo, which is great. Okay, they just offered Blitz. Yeah, that's fine. Cool. No problem. Leftovers Incineroar. That's interesting. Okay. The best play for them to make here would be Spiky Shield and Parting Shot. I personally want to just Tailwind here. And Close Combat into Ogerpon. Even if you Parting Shot, it's fine. Here's the thing. If Incineroar switches out at any point in this battle, and I bring Milotic out, it is a ticking time bomb for my opponent. They're going to Tera here, so I'm thinking they just Tera Ogerpon, hopefully. And I just knock out with the +4 Close Combat. But, ooh. Am I about to get Tera Blasted right now? Because that would be nuts. That would be absolutely nuts. I don't even... Well, actually, with the defense drops, it does KO. Cool, we get the knockout onto Ogerpon. Good. That's out of the way. Okay. I was like, why would you run Water Terra Blast? But it would be helpful into opposing Incineroars. We are really primed for success now, though, right? Because I just got to free switch him back into Gholdengo. It's interesting they were prioritizing knocking out Whimsicott, though, and not really caring for Gholdengo. But I guess it makes sense because you have two things that just resist Gholdengo really well. Comwell, Sinistra. Yeah, I think Gholdengo is just fine to bring in here. We have Specs Thunderbolt into Incin as well. You're not Assault Vested. I don't know if that knocks out, though. The thing with Terrakion is if there's a way to get around missing Rock Slide, I'd much rather click Close Combat. And they bring Como, perfect. Okay, with Como, this is actually excellent because we have Specs Dazzling Gleam. And you can't Terra with Como at this point. I also have Tailwind, so I definitely have the speed advantage. So we can just go for Dazzling Gleam. Close Combat. I'm really glad to have this game featured because Whimsicott Terrakion seems a little bit one-dimensional often. I think people are like, I have to lead it and just go for beat up immediately. But you don't always have to lead it. You can go with Terrakion in the back and then surprise your opponent, right? And basically, I didn't lead Terrakion in this matchup because they had a Como on their team, right? And they had an Ursaluna on their team. So I was like, okay, I don't want to lead Terrakion into something that resists Rock Slide. Like an Ogerpon Como lead was what I was most worried about. And my logic was like, okay, if I go with Gholdengo, I can at least like maybe force out a Terra early on, and that's good. Yeah, Sinistra's their last one, so I think their team was very Como-centric, but it just never really got to do anything. So we can just Dazzling Gleam. It's always more optimal to switch here, actually. And then Rock Slide. Not that it matters, like I don't think Sinistra's ever winning here, and if we just hit Rock Slide, it's probably just game over, but no reason to not switch out and then just like reset into Shadow Ball. Okay, single target Rock Slide connects onto Sinistra, and that's a knockout. Cool. But yeah, don't want to like have a careless scenario where I end up staying in, I miss the Rock Slide, Matcha Gotcha knocks us out, and then it's like a nasty plot. Sinistra, right? Because that's a world in which I think they could actually win, but by switching out, I just like have something that can switch back in and immediately knock you out with Choice Specs Shadow Ball. So yeah, I think it's interesting because I haven't actually gotten value out of that Ghost Tera, but it just allows me to make a really safe turn 1 play, and if they do click Fake Out, I punish them, but even with them not going for it, there's still not much that they can do to punish what I'm going for, right? So it's essentially an option to block one specific play that they can make, but that's the only specific play that they can make to counter what we're doing, and so by blocking it, it just sets us up for so much success after turn 1. Alright, we've got a rain team here. Pelipper, Kingdra, Landorus, Flutter, Hands, and Hisuian Goodra. My main question is whether or not Pelipper here has Wide Guard. That's actually a really big deal if they do. Iron Hands is pretty spooky as well, honestly. I think I'll still go Whimsicott Terrakion. I like Milotic for the Flutter main matchup and then Gholdengo. But I think this is a pretty scary matchup because I can't Tailwind and beat up simultaneously. So if you go Pelipper Kingdra, you can just Tailwind, Terra Kingdra, and attack. So I guess if I see Pelipper Kingdra, I'm immediately pivoting out into Milotic. Lando Hands. It's actually not too bad. I think Ghost Tera. This is a really good lead by them. Because Rock Slide's not that strong into either, even when boosted. They get an Intimidate off, and this slot is pressured by ground type damage. Man, Milotic would have been a sick lead here. Maybe I should have just let it. It was pretty good into their team. The question is, what are the odds they just Stomping Tantrum this, right? Because most of the times people are going to U-turn here. So, like, they could also, like, Fake Out and Terra Blast this. I'm going to Ghost Tera, Beat Up, and Close Combat. I do have Upper Hand as well. Is this a case for Upper Hand? Okay, I'm going for Upper Hand Beat Up here. And it works. Yeah? But did they Stomping? Oh, they're not even Scarflando. Oh, okay. I mean, I'll take that. This works out great so far, but if they just end up clicking Stomping Tantrum into Landorus, into Terrakion, this was a complete waste of a turn. What did they do? Oh, nicely done. Yep. They found a really good answer here. They get a crit. I don't think that mattered, though. It wasn't Scarflando either. I wonder if it's Choice Band or, like, Life Orb. Maybe just Assault Vest. I already had a tough lead here. It needed to be Milotic into this team, not Terrakion. Upper Hand was cool, but this is exactly what I was talking about in the weaknesses section, right? Ground type damage, just good into Terrakion, both before and after Terra, so I couldn't really Terra reasonably. I don't really see a way of winning this, actually. I think Iron Hands is just too strong, but I can bring out Milotic and then Tailwind Terra Ice Beam here, at least. But I think when Terrakion goes down like it did on turn 1, it's very difficult to come back. So I'm going to Tailwind defensively Terra and Ice Beam here. They found their lead was easily the best anti-Whimsicott Terrakion lead, but the thing is I had a reasonable answer to this in the Milotic. Milotic would have gotten a competitive boost, and I could have gone and just started dealing a lot of damage with it. What is that, Kingdra? Oh, Goodra, okay. Yeah, I don't think I do any damage to them at this point, especially if it's Assault Vest on the Iron Hands. So let's see. Like, I could have Scalded Hands and just try to get a burn this turn, but the reality is I have very little damage at this point. It's all left to Gholdengo and Shadow Ball. Look how little Ice Beam does there, by the way. So Wild Charge is still going to do like 40 at least, yeah. 40%. Oh, and it's leftovers. Yep. They basically had as good of an anti-lead as possible. So, yeah, you know what's funny? Because when you see a lot of high-level players play with Landorus, they, like, U-turn so frequently because it's Scarf Landorus. But here my opponent was smart. They were just like, you know what? I'm just going to Stomping Tantrum here. Some people do run Flying Terra on Terrakion to get around the weakness to ground, but we're running Poison, so Terra there wouldn't have saved me. And my opponent made a great call to say, you know what? I'm just going to attack here. And I didn't feel like I really had too much counterplay there. Like, maybe it could have been worth protecting here and then scouting out, but like I said, they could Fake Out, and if that were Terra Blast into Whimsicott, so yeah. I guess I'll Moonblast Hands and Scald. Lowering Voice is super effective. Is there any chance this KOs? Let's see. With the Assault Vest, probably not. I don't live with like 10%, I think. Yeah. Yeah, my opponent was just cooking with this one. I think, like, this just wasn't the right game for Terrakion. It's still not bad, because if it gets boosted up, it's really powerful. But Gholdengo and Hands is a ridiculously strong lead from them. I needed to first deal with Landorus, basically. So, yeah, Milotic needed to come out early in this game. If I were to play this game again, I would consider something like Whimsicott Milotic, Dragonite Milotic as leads, and then play the game from there. They shelter up. I'm gonna just Moonblast Hands. I can fish for an Ice Beam Freeze. That's the only win con really at this point. I mean, the other thing is that Landorus does have to come back out at some point, right? So that would activate competitive. That's Pelipper. This game is actually still winnable because of Gholdengo, I think. Yeah, I don't want to give up yet. No freeze, though. And they KO Whimsicott. I don't think Spec Shadow Ball is going to KO the Goodra here. But I think I go for a crit. That's my best bet. The problem is, it's also the last turn of Tailwind, so I won't have speed control after this turn, but yeah. They should just protect here. But I'm just going to Scald and Ice Beam. Or sorry, Shadow Ball Ice Beam. And hope that they don't have Protect. Okay, if they have, yeah, Iron Hands and then you protect Goodra, that's a guaranteed win, basically. Ooh, they didn't protect, though. Hold on. Oh, that barely does anything. We do get a Spadef drop. Nope. Heavy Slam doesn't do much to us here, though. But I think Landers is well positioned for success. I think they should have stayed in with Pelipper and Tailwind in this last turn, but it probably doesn't end up making a difference here. Because you have Fake Out pressure now into this. I'm going to Shadow Ball you. Scald into you. They still have Interrad, which is the key part of all of this, too. Yeah, I had to lock into Shadow Ball, I think. Can't be Dazzling Gleam. Landers should just come out and win, because I don't get a knockout onto the Lando. But the thing is, it's like, they actually only really have one way to deal with the Gholdengo, which is Landorus. Okay. If Landers has Earthquake now, you can just switch hands out into Pelipper and Earthquake. I'm just gonna Shadow Ball here. Hold on. Is it ever Shadow Ball hands because they're gonna click Stomping Tantrum onto Milotic or Gholdengo? Because the way we could actually win this is if for some reason they didn't knock this out. The alternative is I just go for a critical hit onto this, but it might be Assault Vest. If I had to guess, it's probably AV. Alright, I'll just Shadow Ball Landorus here. Let's call it. Yeah, they switch. Okay. There's the Tera. What Tera type are you? Ground Tera is the absolute best Tera to have here. I'm assuming it's AV Ground Tera. Okay, they're faster anyway, so then it really didn't make a difference. Yeah. Actually, if we get a critical hit here, we win. But I'm assuming they're Assault Vests. If you weren't Choice Scarf, Life Orb, you could be Banded, I guess. You know, if Gholdengo gets that knockout, we actually just win, because then Hands comes back out, and it's Hands Pelipper against Gholdengo. So even after the disastrous turn 1, we actually got this game so darn close. Wow. That did more than I expected, so it's not AV either. It's probably Choice Band then, right? Alright, best I can hope for is a speed tie now for some reason between the two of us. No reason to target Pelly, but yeah, they're stomping. Honestly, I'm pretty happy we got it to this game state, given how terrible things were. But yeah, that turn 1 just was abysmal. And the good thing is you look at a game like this and it's like, the fact that all of our other Pokemon brought the game as close as they did means that we actually had good Pokemon in this matchup. It's just poor execution and great play by my opponent, especially on that turn 1. So, like I said, if I were to replay this, I think maybe add Dragonite to the mix. That's not a bad answer because it's immune to Fake Out and Extreme Speed's really powerful. You could go with something like drop Terrakion and actually go with like Whimsicott, Milotic, Dragonite, Gholdengo. Because I actually think Terrakion's not very good just in general in that matchup, and it looked okay in team preview, but as soon as the leads came out, I was like, okay, this is kind of tricky. It's also different if there's Scarf Landorus and then they like U-turn out on turn 1 instead, but with them just knocking out Terrakion, it was going to be a big uphill battle. I do wonder if it was Choice Band damage or if you don't need the Choice Band. I'm going to actually do the damage code because I'm curious. Okay, if you're just max attack, Stomping Tantrum into No Bulk Terrakion is a guaranteed one-hit knockout. So I just wanted to confirm that damage code because I didn't know, but that's really good to know. So yeah, Stomping is really scary there, and I probably should have considered pivoting out into Milotic immediately on turn 1. All right, we've got a pretty sick rain team here. I'm immediately thinking, does Pelipper have Wide Guard? Because if so, that gets a little bit spooky for Terrakion. Whimsicott, Urshifu, Incineroar, Archaludon, Landorus, and Pelipper. They have a lot of things that resist Rock Slide. Urshifu, Archaludon. Beat Up can still be effective, but we got to be a little bit careful. I think Milotic is really good. I think Incin offers us very little value. Could be Dragonite or Gholdengo. So here's the thing about Dragonite. We could just Outrage with it. And that's pretty sweet. If they want to beat Whimsicott Terrakion, like, I don't know if it's Scarf Urshifu either, because if it's Scarf Urshifu, you could go Pelipper Urshifu, which is scary. Maybe I don't bring Milo. Okay, I'm just going to go Whimsicott Terrakion lead. Dragonite. And I like Gholdengo, because if they play towards Amoonguss, I can switch in Gholdengo. I think, yeah, a couple questions I have here. Are you Choice Scarf on Urshifu? Are you Wide Guard on Pelipper? Both of those are things I don't want to pay attention to right now. I would love to see an Incineroar lead here, because I can just Ghost Tera, and then with Covert Cloak. Ooh! Hello, hello, hello. Okay. Willed that one into existence. Alright, this is what we do. Beat up. Sorry. Ghost Tera. Beat up into this. And close combat. I think you're... Yeah, normally... My only fear is if Archaludon Terra's here. But if it doesn't Terra and they go for Fake Out and no Terra, this is a huge turn for us because I get fully set up and Incineroar stuck on the field, and then I can just Tailwind Rock Slide away. So the big question here is, does Archaludon Terra? Nice. This is why you run Covert Cloak on this. With the Ghost Tera, it just covers for them potentially Fake Out into Whimsicott, right? So, yeah. Basically, with this, the only way they can get out of my turn 1 play here is if Archaludon goes for a Terra. But most people aren't going to Terra on turn 1, right? Because you're expecting, hey, I'm not at risk of actually getting knocked out. But now he just gets a +3 attack. What? Alright, this game just got even more interesting. Mirror Herb Incineroar. This is what makes competitive Pokemon wild, right? I have never seen Incineroar with Mirror Herb to begin with. Mirror Herb as an item, not that common. Some people were using it in like the first regional championship of Scarlet and Violet, which is pretty cool. Part of the theory was that people were using, I think it was like Paldea and Tauros with Mirror Herb. So then you would like come in, give something a Defiant boost, but then you would copy the boost, which was cool. But that was very unexpected. Alright, they bring out Landorus. I don't know what their final Pokemon is. We've got Dragonite, Gholdengo. Pretty good spot to Tailwind. I think Tailwind Protect here is fine, because I think they're going to Protect or Terra or Switch here. So let's just get our speed. If you don't double up onto the Whimsicott, the next turn I just go Beat Up Rock Slide, and it's a +6 Rock Slide onto both Pokemon. If you knock out Whimsicott, it's a free switch into Dragonite or Gholdengo, and then I can just click Make It Rain. But Mirror Herb Incineroar, that's a wild tech. I mean, that's used. It can be used for Defiant, right? Like you bring out Incineroar, you intimidate a King Gambit, then you get your boosts. So, very cool. I'd love to ask my opponent like what it is designed for specifically, what matchups. Pokemon is also a really interesting game because sometimes you can just say, okay, you know what? I don't love my matchup into one specific Pokemon. I'm going to just use one specific item to substantially improve that matchup because I don't need another item. Great, we bait out the Protect from Landorus. That is perfect. Now I get Tailwind up. Now I can just Beat Up plus Rock Slide. Yeah, and they go for Knockoff. Oh, Knockoff onto Terrakion. That is interesting. That makes me think you don't even have a stronger option on Incin. This is wild. Wow. Okay, well, yeah, I just go for beat up now, and then rock slide. The scary thing about this situation is always, do we hit both Pokemon? I honestly thought about clicking beat up and then just close combat into Landorus. Get the +6 close combat to guarantee the knockout onto it. But it switches. Cool. Urshifu? Oh, Pelipper. Alright. See if Vincent has a defensive Tera. Either way, late game Gholdengo is looking pretty sweet now. It is going to be a Tera, okay. What do you Tera into, though? Steel and ground are like the fighting? No, it's just grass. Okay, I still think you faint to +6 rock slide, but let's see. Like, we have a 1% chance of missing both Pokemon here, right? So that's the scary thing about this scenario. Wow, so cool. Mirror. I'm just really glad the turn 1 play worked out, right? I think what makes this even scarier is in closed team sheet best of 1, you have to play so many guessing games, right? But even in open team sheet, I think this is still pretty reliable because your opponent is just going to be a lot more scared of clicking Fake Out onto Terrakion or onto Whimsicott turn 1, right? Rockslide hits both Pokemon though, and that's just a double knockout. Very nice. Was a crit onto the Incineroar. I wouldn't have expected it to survive, but even if it did, at best you get a knockout onto the Terrakion, or you bring us down to Focus Sash on Whimsicott, and then Moonblast should finish you off. You have no ability to heal, and we've got late game Gholdengo plus Dragonite to deal with Landorus, so shouldn't really have any way to win the game. But yeah, like, a strategy like this probably wouldn't work again in a best of 3, because my opponent realizes, okay, you know, I'm just not going to click Fake Out on turn 1, and you could pressure with a Tera on Archuludon, for example. If Archuludon has a defensive Tera, then it can just KO Terrakion. But now we can just go for Moonblast and close combat. And that is what I think makes this combination very, very deadly. The combination specifically of the Covert Cloak on the Terrakion as well as Ghost Tera and Whimsicott. Ghost Tera in the end didn't actually do anything for us, but it was very important to make a play that was 100% safe on turn 1, right? Like covered for regardless of whom Incineroar targeted. But like I said, I guess I just said 100% safe. I don't know if that is necessarily like the best way to describe it, because I think if Archuludon does have a defensive like Fairy Tera, for example, maybe you can get you obviously survive close combat and then retaliate back with a knockout. I'm wondering now if like +3 close combat knocks out if they Tera into like water, which is pretty common, and what the damage roll on that is. Obviously depend on how much bulk they have, but all right, we've actually got a rematch here. What are the odds of that? Well, the same trick isn't going to work twice. Last time it was Incineroar, Duraludon, Peli, Lando. So if I were my opponent, like I said, as I was analyzing that first game, I would Tera Duraludon on turn 1. It's not even Duraludon. It is the evolution. And I've pronounced it, I feel like 5 different ways at this point. Archuludon. Or Galudon. I'm just going to call it the big stapler until I get an official pronunciation. I mean, Instant got led, so like, I'm like looking at Milotic here. I'm intrigued by Milo, Whimsicott, Terrakion, Dragonite. Outrage from Dragonite looks insanely good here. But yeah, I'm wondering if I can catch the Incineroar and get a competitive boost here. Maybe that's wishful thinking. But yeah, the same trick isn't going to work twice against this opponent, so I'm not going to go for the same lead. That doesn't mean I can't lead Whimsicott Terrakion. I think it's still fine, especially without knowing what Tera they are on the opposing side. Hehe, nice. Milo gets the boost, though. I am up against Whimsicott, but ooh, we're about to cook. We are about to cook. Watch this, folks. So, okay, this time they copy the special attack boost. It's fine. Yeah, so I've got Misty Terrain on this. I am going to Ghost Tera just so they don't get a Fake Out and a Spore on turn 1. I'm going to Ice Beam into Amoonguss. I'm going to Tera. I'm going to Misty Terrain. Whimsicott going for Ghost Tera is so fascinating because when you do it, you are essentially doing it just for one specific big play. In this case, I do not want to get hit by Spore. Wow, okay, that is not the switch I expected. It's still fine. I mean, I get a +2 Ice Beam into the big stapler. Surprised to see that switch, though. Like, because you could have a pretty safe Fake Out plus Spore into Milo there. But it's fine. I don't think Poison Tera on Milotic's really that important here, but they could go for Knockoff onto us. I'm curious if Fake Out comes out this turn. Yeah, okay. Totally fine trade. I just really wanted to make sure that, you know, for example, they Fake Out into Whimsicott, Spore into Milotic. I don't want Milotic to get put to sleep because I think it's really, really nice to be in this current game state. I am down to just Scald now into Incineroar. And Tailwind. Incin should probably switch out into Amoonguss. Or go for a Tera here. But I'm fine. I think Milo's just in a very, very good spot right now. I just keep tarrying the Whimsicott, and it doesn't pay off in the sense that I keep doing it to cover for a play. But once again, it's like I'm covering for the worst case scenario, and anything other than the worst case scenario is a trade I'm willing to accept. I think I probably should have clicked Ice Beam into Big Stapler here instead. But they stay in with Instant and don't Tera, so now it's looking very nice. Here's the other thing. By going for Misty Terrain, your Dragon-type damage is reduced, right? So if you click Draco Meteor, you're not going to be able to do very much. It's rare that we get a best of 3 on Road to Ranked. I can't remember the last time we had that, but yeah, there's Draco Meteor. Look how little this does. Misty Terrain, Whimsicott, let's go. It's really fun to show that off. Yeah, Amoonguss is in a very tough spot right now. Yeah, I could even pivot the Milotic into Terrakion despite getting the boosts. They actually do bring out Amoonguss. Okay. It's fine by me. Amoonguss could Tera here. Man, we have so many different things we could do, but with 3 turns of Tailwind and Misty Terrain, I'm down to just Ice Beam, Moonblast into Big Stapler. Let me just go for Rage Powder. Okay, that's fine. Like, you're at -2 special attack, and you don't have any stamina boosts right now. Let's see if this gets the knockout. Yeah, so you see Amoonguss survived on turn 1, right? That's why I was expecting them to get the knockout in the beginning. Or sorry, not get the knockout, but that's why I was expecting the Fake Out Spore play. I wanted to cover for that. So, they get a special attack boost, which is cool, but I don't really mind that. We have Assault Vest. Don't think you KO. Let's find out. Down to just Ice Beam here. Amoonguss could switch, or it could Protect. I guess it could Pollen Puff here, which would be a pretty sick play, so I should just cover for that. Yeah, they go for Protect, but it's fine. It's not like the Moonblast damage onto Big Stapler is really that crucial. Actually, it could be crucial because maybe Moonblast, Ice Beam is enough for knockout, whereas I don't think 2 Ice Beams will KO, assuming you're Assault Vested here. Yeah. Yep, it's going to be Electro Shot. Boink. Yeah, that really just doesn't do too much, even after the special attack boost. Cool. Given that Amoonguss just protected, we can double up onto that slot. Moonblast plus Scald should get a guaranteed knockout onto anything that switches in. Actually, is there any reason to Scald instead of Ice Beaming? It's mainly... Yeah, I don't think anything survives Ice Beam Moonblast, actually. And Ice Beam would end up doing more into Stapler. Yep, there's a switch. That's fine. Probably into Pelipper, and then you Electro Shot again, but nope, it's Landorus. Okay. It's fine. We get rid of this. And this is why that earlier Draco Meteor, like, gets punished so heavily, right? You are just unable to deal much damage, and Misty Terrain had two different use cases in this game. Blocking the Spore and reducing the Dragon type damage. So it's a really cool tech move. You can, yeah, go for Electroshock, but I am just going to go for... Tailwind Peters out. Terrain disappears. Yeah, you bring the Amoonguss back out. Amoonguss should protect in this scenario, but it's fine. I'll go for the save Tailwind Ice Beam here. I don't think the shot even KOs Milotic. No need for Misty Terrain at this point. And it's like, Assault Vest is scary because you get to tank so many attacks, but the damage output is just really lacking here, right? I do think this was a really good adjustment to try to deal with Whimsicott Terrakion specifically, but yeah, I think getting to punish the Incineroar lead was really nice. And that was one thing that was interesting because by playing the best of 3, I was like, whoa, my opponent's willing to just lead Incineroar into Milotic. Hey, I can totally take advantage of that. Okay, they're going to commit Terra to Amoonguss. Actually, I should have covered for that. That's a really good play because they actually can get a Spore off now. Yeah. But it's still fine. Like, I have a Dragonite plus a Terrakion in the back, just waiting to come out. So here's Electroshot, and we do survive with 10. Nice. And Spore. Cool, that's fine. Into Whimsicott, yep. No problem. This should protect. I'll go for Alluring Voice. And I'll switch Whimsicott out into Dragonite. Normally, I wouldn't recommend switching, but I'm so far ahead in this game that by switching in Dragonite, what are you going to do, right? If you Draco Meteor, then suddenly you're at -2 special attack again. You know, maybe in retrospect, I actually, if I were to replay this, I still would just stay in here. Why risk letting Dragonite come out for no reason? It's just one of those games where I feel like I'm so far ahead, it doesn't really end up mattering. But I think if there was any chance for my opponent to come back here, it's them making a crazy read and going for Draco. But we're just going to knock out Amoonguss, okay? Because I was like, okay, even if you go for Draco, it's fine. But then I guess you could body press, theoretically, into Terrakion. And Amoonguss could have protected this turn. But it's just Heavy Slam. Yep, and we take no damage from that. Cool. Now we can just Ice Beam and Outrage. So, fun to play a best of 3 here on Road to Ranked, and cool to end with Outrage Dragonite as well. Wow! It took that? That's impressive. That's Choice Band Outrage. And that was not enough for a knockout. Kind of surprised about that, but wow. It's a testament to how defensively bulky it is. Anyway, I am really happy to feature the Misty Terrain tech in this game. It didn't end up being super relevant in the early game because Amoonguss actually switched, which I was honestly quite surprised by. I thought like my opponent would be scared of Milotic since I got the competitive boost. I was really expecting like a Fake Out plus a Spore into that slot. So I just wanted to make sure I got Misty Terrain up so that they couldn't, or like Fake Out into Whimsicott Spore into the Milotic. But point being, setting up Misty Terrain was just really important, and then by them going for Draco Meteor in the early game, they were stuck with a Pokemon that just didn't do very much damage. Milo with these boosts just looked really powerful. They gave up Incineroar and didn't Terra in that spot or switch out either, so we got a free knockout onto Incineroar. The tricky thing for my opponent is if you switch out the Incineroar, it means that it has to come back in at some point. My opponent probably didn't want to give Milotic even more boosts later on in the battle. But yeah, I think in this game, we just had pretty good control from early on, and like I said, just happy to feature this Misty Terrain tech. Okay, we've got Pincurchin here. Pincurchin is so interesting because it's like used basically as a terrain setter bot. But they do have a lot of things that obviously can take advantage of the electric terrain with Cork Drive. Palmot's also really cool as well. So yeah, I'm really excited to see this team. I think like Pincurchin has been so underexplored, and being able to set up terrain through an ability is so nice because Cork Drive just doesn't activate very frequently unless you have booster energy. Whereas Sun is so much easier to enable, right? They have so many special attackers, though. Like, I can't help but think Assault Vest Milotic here is going to be sick. Whimsicott, Terrakion, Milotic. I want those 3. Don't think Incineroar is valuable here into a team that's almost all special attackers. Pretty much all special attackers. So it's between Gholdengo and Dragonite. Shadow Ball looks really good offensively into their team. Okay. I'm down for a Whimsicott, Terrakion lead, Gholdengo, Milo in the back. That sounds good to me. What do we expect here? I don't know what to expect lead-wise, honestly. Here's the other thing about Pincurchin, right? It's not like Inity where it provides a lot of good utility. Like, Inity is amazing because not only is it a terrain setter, but it actually has some great moves as well. Okay, it's going to be Pincurchin Raging Bolt. And we're about to make my opponent so sad because we have Misty Terrain on Whimsicott. Yo, okay. We also have Upper Hand. I'm going to Misty Terrain turn 1, though, and then Protect, and to beat up Rock Slide turn 2. What I want to see here is what they want to do on turn 1 with Raging Bolt, but I expect maybe a Tera. It is going to be a Tera here. I wouldn't be surprised if they went, like, Electric Tera, and they just try to go all in on the Terrakion turn 1. Yeah. Yep. Cool. Yeah, Misty Terrain is used for so many different reasons. One, helpful into Amoonguss, but also helpful into Inity, into Rillaboom, and helpful in this situation. Oh, it's actually Rising Voltage. Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Zing Zap. Okay. I think I'm happy to just beat up now. I'm going to close combat Raging Bolt. Like, Rock Slide is tempting, but I think the 10% chance to miss is actually really bad here. Because if we miss and they knock us out in return, that's brutal. I'd rather just get the guaranteed boosts. But good Protect. This would have been a reason to Rock Slide. But this is totally okay with me. I get to +4 now. I think I'll probably still close combat. I'm actually surprised they didn't switch Pincurchin out because I thought one line they could take a switch Pincurchin out back in and then go for Thunderbolt Clap. Yeah. Okay. And I don't know. I don't think Pincurchin really exerts that much pressure into us, but what is it going to do here? The cheeky little electric terrain to change the terrain back into their favor. That's cool. Well, I'm just going to Misty Terrain to change it back into my favor. I really want to click Upper Hand, honestly, but I'm fine just going Misty Terrain close combat here. Pincurchin switches. Iron Crown comes out. So tiny compared to Raging Bolt. Special attack boost. I mean, I'm really glad I got to showcase Misty Terrain. It was not designed for this matchup. Like, it was mainly helpful into Indeedee and Rillaboom stuff, as well as Amoonguss, but hey, I'll take it. So, they do go for Thunderclap. Does this get the knockout? I wouldn't think so. That was close, though. Oof. Upper Hand would have been sick, but I really didn't want to click Upper Hand, have them not click Thunderclap, and then just get hit by a Thunderbolt. Like, that's a disaster. And at the end of the day, it's a great trade for us, right? They have already committed a Tera. They revealed more Pokemon. I still have Gholdengo waiting in the back with this Shadow Ball. Fluttermane comes out. Booster Energy. They're all about activating the Paradoxmon's abilities here. Can respect that. Speed boost. Yeah, so Undertale when we outpace for sure. There's no way Fluttermane's gonna have Trick Room here, but I think I don't mind going for Tailwind and Protect here to scout out for if either of their Pokemon want to protect this turn. This also enables Gholdengo in the end game. Gholdengo can just Shadow Ball everything and steal Tera now. Okay, they don't protect either, which is fine. Yep, just Dazzling Gleam. I don't even mind if they go for the knockout onto Whims here with Tachyon Cutter, yeah. Great. And now it's a free switch in into our Gholdengo. Life Orb, okay. Just double checking Gholdengo's speed here. Yeah, this hits 240, so we are slower than booster Flutter speed. Which means that I do have to click Rock Slide here, but it's okay. I think, honestly, this probably wins us the endgame in itself. But I'm going to Terra here, Shadow Ball, and Rock Slide. I guess I could also close combat Iron Crown. But because I just protected, I'm fine just going for this. But yeah, I guess it gets interesting if I actually miss the Rock Slide on Flutter and they protect Iron Crown. Because then you would get a knockout, presumably, onto us. But then I bring out Milotic. But, like, Pincurchin actually does reasonable damage to us, but we have Mirror Coat. Yeah. I would trade Rock Slides. Like, I wish it just was 100% accurate and had no flinch chance. They actually protect Flutter. Okay, is it a double protect? Because if not, then the game's definitely over, I think. Yeah, nice. Well, I said definitely over. I don't see how they win from this spot. Like, what can Pincurchin do to really get them out of this, right? Maybe if they have priority. But I think now I can just protect. I don't even need to. Yeah. Pincurchin does get some priority moves, right? But are any of them enough to knock us out? Yeah, I mean, I can just Shadow Ball here. If I was worried about priority, I could just click Upper Hand as well. I'm just going to Shadow Ball close combat. Okay, yeah, we're good. No Sash on Pincurchin, so that is out of the way. Nice. Flutter should outpace Gholdengo, but even a critical hit Shadow Ball should not get the knockout, given that you're a speed booster set. Your damage output is fairly lacking. They just opt for Dazzling Gleam. Cool. I think Milotic, it didn't even make an appearance in this game in the end, but I think it would have been an amazing fourth Pokemon to have. So I felt really good about our matchup here. But cool to see Pincurchin. It's just, you can see why it's not used that frequently. I think not being able to offer very much other than just setting up Electric Terrain makes it tougher to use. But honestly, my opponent was unfortunate because they ran into a Misty Terrain Whimsicott. If we didn't have Misty Terrain, this game looks pretty different because then you just get your terrain up in the early game, and that Electric Terra plus Thunderclap is so powerful. And it would knock out the Terrakion, right? And you have the priority for it as well. And honestly, if you think about what I brought in this game, if I didn't have Misty Terrain, it obliterates Terrakion, it obliterates Milotic, it obliterates Gholdengo as well. We did have some counterplay to it because we had the upper hand cut, so we could kind of go for these trades and, you know, just deal damage while they're not actually able to move. But then all it takes is one good prediction where they don't click Thunderclap, and we are in some trouble. I said upper hand cut. Still learning the names of all of these new moves. Upper hand. So it's not like we were just gonna 100% get crushed by Raging Bolt, but it would have been really spooky. But Misty Terrain is a really cool tech move, and it's valuable for so many scenarios. This was a very niche use case, but it very much saved us in this battle. Oh, okay. This is a Reg E team. Urshifu, Flutter, Corviknight. Corv is really interesting. Monkey Dory, Chi-Yu, and Grass Ogerpon. I think Terrakion has to maneuver a couple of threats here. Okidogi. Not Okidogi. Monkey Dory, Corviknight, Urshifu. Corviknight's really scary here. Worried about Scarf Urshifu too. Like, I want to go Whimsicott Terrakion, but I don't know if it's actually that great here. I think I need Milotic because it offers Scald into Corviknight. And I need Gholdengo as well. So it's Whimsicott, Terrakion, Gholdengo, Milotic. Now I'm just trying to figure out in what order. I'm not 100% confident on Whimsicott, Terrakion here because I think there's a couple things to worry about, including follow me from the Ogerpon Monkey Dory, Scarfer, Shifu. But to be honest, I don't know if I love leading any other combination of Whimsicott, Gholdengo, and Milotic, so I'll still go with it. But this is spooky. I think, like, things get challenging when even at +4, Terrakion can't guarantee knockouts. And they have a lot of things that resist Rock Slide here. Ah, they frisked the Covert Cloak. Ooh, okay, this is really interesting because you've got some good speed here. You can also just like Psychic into this or Fake Out or Sludge Bomb into this. I think I don't mind Tailwind Protect. The only thing this loses to is Sludge Bomb Poison. Whimsicott's just so happy to be here. Oh, okay. Regardless of what's happening here, this is already a decent start. But one thing to consider is that with Poison Terror, I'm still weak to Psychic on their end. Which is scary. Whoa, Sludge Wave. Okay, definitely didn't expect that. Uh-oh. Bring us down to Sash. Poison? No poison. Oh, you had Frisk. Okay. I want to just go for Beat Up now. The problem is Monkey Dory resists the close combat. I guess I just beat up Rock Slide. Okay, they switch. Corviknight. Yeah. I don't know if +4 Rock Slide KOs Monkey Dory, and I think Monkey Dory might be Focus Sashed here. Rock Slide miss here would be really tough too. So far, I think I've brought the right Pokemon, though. Definitely don't feel bad about the Pokemon choice. But definitely didn't expect Sludge Wave either. Rock Slide doesn't miss, though. Nice. And it KOs Monkey Dory. Okay, I think we're in the clear then. It's just so scary every time Rock Slide is clicked, right? Because it's like 90% chance to hit, but if I have that 10% roll where I miss, they just probably KO Terrakion in return. And it's a brutal trade, so it's just one thing you're going to have to watch out for. Let's see. Monkey Dory can come back out, but I have Covert Cloak. Sorry, not Monkey Dory, Ogerpon. I prefer to close combat here, just so I don't miss. This could Spiky Shield, though. I don't mind switching out into Gholdengo, because I think I'd like to set up another Tailwind with this Tailwind slowly expiring. So go on into Gholdengo here. I think go out into Gholdengo, Tera, and then close combat here works. And it covers for, like, I don't want to miss Rock Slide, right? But Poison Tera covers for Ogerpon going for Ivy Cudgel onto us. I guess they could Stomping Tantrum, which would be interesting. Like, if they went Grass Tera Stomping, this could actually be seen as a throw. So maybe I was overly cautious of missing Rock Slide. But I'm thinking, hey, if Ogerpon just Spiky Shields here, okay, yeah, then this was tough. Like, this play kind of just wins us the game. And it covers for most options. The only thing I was worried about was them going for, yeah, Stomping Tantrum specifically into us. But Corv is eliminated, and we have one more turn of Tailwind to work with, so we've timed this quite nicely. And if Tailwind expires, I can always just, you know, sacrifice Gholdengo, bring out Whimsicott, Tailwind once again. And they just bring out Chi-Yu. Cool, that's fine. Milo in the back should always beat Chi-Yu here. I am down to Go for Make It Rain. I was talking about missing here, but I do think Rock Slide's actually better because I don't know which one of these two wants to Terra right now. They actually don't Terra either, so okay. That's just a double knockout. That works. I wanted to look up Sludge Wave real quick. And what the poison chance of it is. It's only 10%, okay. For some reason, I thought it was 30. And I was like, oh, Monkey Dory, like you have your ability and you can get an additional poison roll. But in the end, it's just 10% there. If they got the 10% roll on turn 1, though, I think I'm not in nearly as good of a spot. You would get a knockout. I would get Tailwind up. I would probably bring out Gholdengo and then go Steel Terra, just like Make It Rain and Rock Slide spam. But then Terrakion is obviously not nearly as effective. And then Corviknight can be really spooky. And once Tailwind is stalled out, things can get more challenging. But in the end, we were able to get our beat up off. And that was the most important part. Anyway, that's going to be it for this one. So thank you so much, as always, for joining me. Really fun to feature the return of Whimsicott and Terrakion, and it honestly felt so dang powerful throughout today's matches. So highly encourage you to try it out. This is a very oppressive, fast-paced duo, and I really love the build that specifically exists on this team. Also really fun to use Milotic and Dragonite and Gholdengo. Incineroar basically never came out very much, and so I think that slot, I wonder if it could be replaced for something else. I'm sure it's designed for some of the matchups that we didn't run into, but yeah, everything else that we brought, I feel like really carried its weight. So happy to show off all these different Pokemon, and specifically Whimsicott, Terrakion, and Milotic. So thanks for watching. Leave a like if you enjoy, and I'll see you all next time. All right, peace.